Welcome to Helm Charts Chat for Tuesday, May 28th, 2019. Remember, this is recorded and put up on the internet, so don't say anything you wouldn't want recorded and put up on the internet. The agenda was just pasted into chat. I think everybody can get it. The first thing that I'll put my name next to, I threw it up there to have the first one, is the hub. Scott has been working on a pull request for a while to use Circle CI to deploy updates to the hub when something new comes in, and we landed that this morning. And so when there's new things added to the hub, Circle CI will go ahead and deploy that to our cluster. All right, and so that's the only thing that I've got. I see we've got two more items that have been added to the agenda here in the meantime. The image digest conversation. Did somebody want to take that one away?
Yeah, so we had a question a few weeks ago now, and several PRs that popped up looking at supporting image digest by adding a new field to the image object that's conventionally used and what you get when you do Helm create and create a new chart. And so there's some discussion here in this issue that I filed that I would love to maybe, so there's basically two main different ways we could go with this, I think. And I'm definitely leaning one way, but I'd love to hear some other folks' thoughts, and maybe we can close this out. I also have just been getting into understanding CNAB, and the way CNAB treats digests is maybe something to consider to make sure that the convention we have in the Helm community going forward is kind of nicely compatible with that. Where I believe that the digest is actually only used to validate the image that gets pulled.
So an interesting caveat about this is digest SHAs can be different from repository to repository. So if I take the same image and I push it into Docker Hub and I put it into Quay and I want to refer to it later, you may have a different SHA. There's no guarantee on it. Now, a lot of systems behind the scenes are using Docker distribution, and so it'll often typically create the same SHA. There's no guarantee. Things like Quay are an entirely custom distribution. And so your SHAs can end up being different. You can't guarantee on that everywhere, which even comes into signing of images, signed images to its location, because you can't guarantee that same SHA, that same thing somewhere else. And so that is one of the nuances to use these. Image SHAs are not as portable as something mutable like a tag you can put on something.
Yeah, that's good to know. So does anyone else have thoughts on this, or should I kind of explain my reasoning for what I'm thinking?
Just go ahead. I didn't really follow that issue along, and would have to make up my mind, so I don't really.
Well, so what was proposed is to add a new digest field to the image object, which would be separate from the tag. And then it would be up to the chart to template that in correctly. And the proposal is that if a digest is specified, then that takes precedence, obviously, over the tag. But my main concern there is that if you add a digest to your default values.yaml, that swaps out the tag that's being deployed, potentially without the really giving notice to the person deploying the chart. So they may have been specifying a tag previously, and then once the digest is added to the chart under the hood to their default values YAML, it will no longer be deploying the same image that they expected to deploy, but they won't be no errors will be surfaced or anything like that. So my thought was that we can already support this with the existing tag field if you just do an image tag alias and then at your SHA. So that's the idea.
Can you hear me, Jacob?
Yes.
Hi. Why not do both? As in, if the digest and the tag are conflicting, so error out. No precedence, no anything. Explicit better than implicit.
I think while that might be technically possible, I think that would require Helm knowing. Right now, this is just a convention, so I believe like this would have to become a real type, and Helm would have to be able to resolve the tag at runtime and check that it matches the digest.
Yeah,
to actually do that.
Could you do it with a template function though? A template function says if there is a value in both fields, then error out, and the response from the template function could generate your what you stick for the image, and then you're putting it in there, and then you're saying if there's both, then error out.
Yeah, you technically, I think, yes, you could do that. It is up to the chart maintainer to implement that correctly. Obviously, we could make that part of the default template that you get with Helm Create, but part of my concern was for existing charts too. Also, what the proposal was to be able to specify both tag and digest, and then the tag would be shown as an alias if it was specified. But so we would have to make that clear as well. Does anyone see any major downsides to specifying the digest just with the tag alias at, and then the digest within the tag field?
I think I like that best because it's basically already supported and it makes things simpler.
Yeah, that's another upside, is that every chart that currently exists already supports that. So we could
I think
do a job documenting it. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I think the option B, just specifying the existing tag, would be simpler for everybody. That really works.
Okay.
So, is there any downside to that?
I think the main thing is that it's just not as explicit that it's possible to do that, but that's something that we could add a comment to the default template that you get with Helm Create, explaining that it's possible, and then we could also add more documentation to the existing Helm docs.
Hmm.
Yeah, so please feel free to comment more on that issue if anyone else has other thoughts. Thanks.
I want to comment that it's well needed. It's a really good addition. Good job on taking that. It's really important. I've seen situations where, despite of the fact that people specify the image tag, someone can just come and replace that tag very easily and leaves vulnerabilities or whatever. So, well needed.
Cool.
So I know this works with Docker. What I'm wondering is how this works with other systems such as CRI-O or the other container runtimes, if this works as well. I just did some, while everyone was talking, I tested this with Docker itself, and I know it works there, but I'm not sure how the other container runtimes respond to this. So before we go forth with saying it, I would suggest we at least just validate those, right? I know things like OpenShift is using Cryo now and OpenShift v4, and there's a few container runtimes out there. It just might be a good idea to do our due diligence.
Good idea. I will add a comment and see if I can follow up on that.
Yeah, otherwise it sounds good. I'm a double checker.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, is there anything else on this one?
That's it. Thank you.
Somebody added, and thank you. Somebody added an agenda item for a call for maintainers discussion. Did somebody want to take that one away?
That was me. This was discussed in the last meeting, which I had to skip, unfortunately. So we have these two issues. I think, Maya, you created them. And it seems we're trying to get maintainers for charts that don't have owners or new owners, which in general is, I think, a good idea. The problem is, and I commented that recently on Keybase, no one reacted, I think. I noticed, and this is just because I was personally affected, that an owner was added to a chart I'm maintaining without me being asked. And we should not just add owners to just if they come along and say, hi, I want to be an owner, and add them. This is not the way we should do it, in my opinion. We should always ask existing maintainers, and we should always look at their track record or whatever, and not just at some person that shows up and, hey, I want to be an owner.
I totally agree. If that was me, I apologize. Can you tell me which chart that was?
In this case, it was the MongoDB replica set. I don't care that much because I really want to step down on this chart anyways, and there's another maintainer on it now. But I just want to make my point clear. Whenever we add new maintainers, we have to ask existing ones. And we have to look at who we are adding.
I totally agree. And as the person who added these issues and is adding most of these maintainers, so I do try to find out track record for each of them and to ask existing maintainers. If I missed one, then I apologize. But this is indeed the intent of this play: is to add new maintainers. And to check with existing maintainers, because obviously an existing maintainer will know best who has been contributing to a chart that he maintains, or she, obviously. And this has indeed been a tremendous effort, even just adding those people who stepped up. So if you do see me or anyone else missing something like that, so please feel free to intervene, as you had until now, which is awesome. I do need some help around that. So that's it on that. I hope no one is offended personally, because of course there is no such intent and no disrespect, of course. And obviously when it is you, Reinhard, that you are one of the core maintainers as well. So obviously nothing personal. If I missed it, then I just missed it. That's all there is to it.
No worries.
But looking on the bright side of it, did you all feel a decrease this last week in review requests? Or if you have been getting review requests, did you notice that maybe by the time you open them, they are already approved and merged or responded by other maintainers? Or is it only me feeling that?
I did not notice anything, but I didn't really look that much last week because I was at KubeCon. So
yeah. So essentially, from last week.
Maybe what's the current status? Is this going forward?
It is moving forward. A lot of people have stepped up, which is awesome. And I personally have the feeling that we are starting to lose weight around pull requests. I have not reviewed a pull request or at least I've reviewed so much less pull requests this last week since this move has begun. And very nice people are stepping up. We have some people from Weaveworks and some people from Mesosphere and some really cool people joining us, which is really nice. They bring a lot of very positive experience. And the number of pull requests has decreased since last week, which I don't think I've seen happen in quite a long time. I think it's decreased by around 40 before Matt initiated the API version issue, which Carlos has done. So before that move, we had around 370, if I remember correctly, and now we have 336 without any special efforts around let's review some more pull requests. So it's just a community picking itself up and doing what it should do. That's it.
All right. Is there anything else on this topic we should look at? Reinhard, you put it on here. Are you good with it?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. We don't have, excuse me, any other items. Did anybody have anything else they wanted to talk about today? Okay, if not, then I'm going to ask a question of people who went to the conference last week. Can you talk about your experience at the conference, what you liked, what caught your attention, that kind of thing?
It was great. I met a whole bunch of people, including Cedric and Paul, which are on the call now.
Fantastic. Did you attend any sessions and did you like any of them?
Of course, I did attend quite a lot of sessions. I mean, yeah, it's always kind of mixed. Some were great, some were, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else attend and want to talk about it?
Yeah, so, I don't even know what my camera's pointed at. Yeah. So, yeah, I was there. Scott and I gave that talk on securing Halloween 2, which I thought went pretty well. It was definitely well attended, so that was cool.
I just taught it. Is this just me or?
The audio is coming through a little bit hot.
Oh. Let me see if there's anything I can do with that. One second.
How about now? Is that any better?
Much better. Much better.
I don't know. Is it better now? Can you hear me fine now?
It is.
Much
Can you hear
better.
us?
Okay, cool. For some reason, I can't hear you all now. That's fun. All right. I just switched microphones. Anyway, I thought it went pretty well. Scott and my talk was really well attended. A lot of good questions afterwards, so I think that boded well for it. In general, I only went to a few sessions. I find that the quality of sessions tend to be aimed at a different target to me, but the hallway track was incredible. A lot of really good, interesting discussions around, obviously Helm, but tons of other Kubernetes related stuff. The venue was way too big, and so those long walks between the sessions and the vendor hall were pretty bad. And the vendor hall seemed interesting. It mostly seemed like a bunch of vendors talking to other vendors. I don't know if others got that impression.
Ouch.
All right. Anybody else have anything?
Well, of course, it was great. And I just had a funny thought. I attended a Kubeflow workshop, and I just realized there is no Kubeflow Helm chart, for example. So there is no easy way with Helm to install Kubeflow. So that might be a good idea to add it if someone has time, of course. So if you don't know, Kubeflow is machine learning pipeline to mostly automate all you can do with Kubernetes. With have you ever dreamed about machine learning?
Somebody had shared that they were working on a Helm chart somewhere, which is one of the reasons I hadn't looked into it.
It's not an easy one because it has a lot of dependencies.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't looked at it because I heard that, but now that I look, I don't see one. So I don't know. If somebody who is doing stuff with Kubeflow that wanted to put together a chart, that would be fantastic.
So for the record, during the workshop, it was organized by Google. No one was able to install Kubeflow after an hour of workshop. It was a disaster for them.
After an hour, they couldn't get it installed?
Not at all. Not a single one.
Yeah, that installation experience, I used to work with somebody who had a thing. Whenever you started a project, you wanted people to be able to have fun in 5 minutes, right? You wanted them to have fun having installed something, having accomplished something within 5 minutes. And an hour is just kind of devastating to that. That's not a good experience. No, thanks for sharing that. I didn't realize. It would be great if somebody wanted to work on a Helm chart. We should ask people if they want to. I thought they were using JSONet. Somebody, yeah, they were using, what is it, JSONet, but that project has been deprecated now. I'm sorry, KSonnet, not JSONet, KSonnet. They had been using KSonnet and that was being deprecated, was the last I'd heard. Okay. But I am really not up on this thing. Okay, I see some links. Might follow up on that. All right. Anyone have anything else?
I have a technical question, just for 5 minutes. So I am testing a few things. I try to test the Redis chart, for example, and I have to fetch some. It's always the same problem. I have to fetch the password from the values. Do you know any way to get values from the test itself, or is it too complex to do?
I'm not sure I follow exactly what you want to do.
So I just so I test something. I test to connect to the Redis using the test itself. Okay, to do that, of course, by default, Redis generates a random password, which is the values. But and I have no way to fetch it. So I don't know if there is a simple way to fetch it. Otherwise, we may have a deeper problem, which is always the same one, which is maybe we should not even try to generate anything which is not explicitly set, especially a password.
Just don't auto-generate it for the test.
Yeah, of course, but then I would like this test to be run for every possibilities, not just single values, But of course, it already works. I've just disabled the password and it works well. But I would like this to work to run for every test that is defined. So I have no way to currently to do that.
Yeah, I don't see the issue. Just set the password.
So just let me bring this up.
So instead of, I think what's being said is, instead of letting a password be automatically generated, set it at the time that the repo, and then you use that same password consistently throughout it.
Yeah, this is what I do, but I'm using a standard test from Helm, a Helm test. So just some pod which is deployed for every test values that exists in this chart, including some that set a random password. So I'm kind of blocked here.
Yeah, but you can install the chart with a hard-coded password for the test, and then run the test.
Yeah, of course. Then we do not no longer test the generation password. So
Yeah.
So it's kind of already. So my feeling is that we shouldn't try to generate things, because it always, each time I have to deal with the generated password, it gets complicated in some way or other. Either it complicates the chart to have something that works for real, or it complicates the test, or well, so. I think there is actually an issue about this. I can't find it. It's an issue about how to fetch the password when we are updating the chart. Of course, it will regenerate a random one. There is an issue. Wow, I'm not able to find it. Also, okay, anyway, I will just test for no password. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Going once, going twice, going three times. Thank you everyone for coming, and please come up with lots of fun things for us to talk about when we come back in 2 weeks.
Thanks.
Thanks everyone. Have a wonderful 2 weeks.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.